Today, he is Sir Harry Secombe, who recently celebrated the 250th edition of his Sunday evening programme, Highway, an event which coincided happily with the publication of his autobiography called Arias and Raspberries.
Indeed,
you sort of experienced quite a few of each then, I presume, throughout life.
But this is the raspberry years, you see, it's up to 1951, from 21 to 51.
Yeah.
So it gives me another bite of the cherry, or the raspberry.
I must say, this programme today will be quite tame, Sir Harry, in comparison to what you had to put up with last week on Wogan.
Oh, with Spike, yes.
No, this man who jumped out of the audience that everyone saw, collecting for children.
That was quite frightening, yes.
Yes, it looked as if it frightened the life out of you,
We didn't know
actually.
what he had in that bag, you see.
Yeah.
He came up on the stage, and that's the first time it's ever happened, that somebody's invaded the stage. And we all looked at each other with wild surmise, because you didn't know, you know.
And then Spike invited him to stay, which was
reprehensible, I thought.
No, I have to say, we've been trawling the archives in search of vintage Secombe, and we could very easily have filled this entire programme today with the little gems we have uncovered, and here is just a very short selection.
Tonight, this is Your Life, Harry Secombe. King of Clowns, sometimes known as Harry Secombe, Red Nurk, and a round dozen other aliases. We're going to try and see what lies behind these rubber faces, this mask of comedy.
Before the finale of our show tonight, I should just like to thank, on behalf of all my fellow artists, a big thank you to Her Majesty the Queen and to Prince Philip. And to all you ladies and gentlemen as well, for the way you've supported us tonight in this wonderful, all the proceeds, of course, go to the Variety Artists Benevolent Fund.
That's the new sound.
Is it Fender?
It's Neddy. He thinks he's the Queen of England.
Packers, let us play a game and push him down the well.
Yeah.
He's falling in the water.
My lord, distinguished guests, fellow barkers, ladies and gentlemen, as I was getting dressed to come here tonight, my grandson looked at me and said, "Grandad," because that's what he calls me, "Grandad, do you have to wear that suit tonight? You know it always gives you a terrible headache in the morning."
He's good, that guy. Do you ever watch him on television?
It's all on my own on this thing. I'm always doing that on the end of a jetty or at the cow pasture, singing to him. It's strange. I enjoy doing it. I do enjoy Highway very much.
You have seen some sights and met some people doing that programme, right?
Yes, we've done over 250. We've done about 260 now.
Yeah.
And we've been to Rome. We've been to the Falklands. We've been up to Lapland, where the laps are.
Mm-hmm.
We've been to Malta. So, it's a much-travelled programme.
Okay, let's go to Clonethley. Ruth Edwards is on the line from there. Good morning, Ruth.
Good morning.
Hi, Ruth. What would
How
you
are
like
you?
to say to Sir Harry?
Good morning, Sari.
Good morning, Ruth.
Ari, I just heard you've been all over the world with
Yes.
the Highway. I think it's a wonderful programme.
Thank you.
But, so Harry, you haven't been to a little town called Llanelli?
We're coming down there in November.
Oh, that's all, because I watch it. I watch it, and, Llanelli, as you know, is well known for its rugby.
Of course it
And
is.
the Comaibion Llanelli. And I would love to see you sing with them.
Well, I'm coming down there because Ronnie Cass, who's a program
Yes.
associate who puts the words in my mouth and does all the music for me and for everybody else, is from Llanelli, and he's dying to get down there himself.
Yes, yes. Oh, lovely. That, that's all I wanted to say is I'd love to see you in Llanelli.
Well, look out for our van with Highway on it and knock on the door and I'll have a chat with you.
Oh, thank you.
All right,
That's
Ruth?
good. That's made your day, Ruth. Thank you very much indeed. Nice to send away a happy customer there.
That's nice, that.
The thing about Highway, though, Sir Harry, when you started it 7 years or so ago, it actually broke the mould of Sunday night religious programming, didn't it?
Yes.
Much more popularist in approach.
Yes, quite right. I think it's a time that it's a time for change. I thought, to break away from that rigid hymn singing thing, and which is all fine, hymn singing great, but it's good to get out and about. And what we do is more about caring within the community. It's not so much about religion, but more about turning the spotlight on people who do good deeds in the community without thought of reward. And we've had all sorts of people who've been in terrible situations, overcome tremendous hurdles, either physically or mentally, and by showing them the program, we try to bring inspiration and comfort to people who might be in a similar situation, at home.
Okay, let's now go to Newbury. Joan Pengelly. Good morning, Joan.
Good morning.
Hi, Joan. What's your question?
Good morning, Sir Harry.
Good morning, Joan.
I'm a great fan of yours and always watch Highway. But one thing always fascinates me, and when my husband was alive till next year, it was he actually who first raised the subject. You walk about over the beautiful Welsh mountains, or as you said just now, near cowpats. But how is it technically done that you are singing beautifully, invariably with a
Following
backup?
wind.
How do they do it? I mean, it's once upon a time I thought you mimed, but you're not miming. You're singing live.
I'll tell you what we do. We record in the studio because it's the only way you can do it. You never get proper sound outside because the wind and all the rest of the conditions don't make it possible. So we record in the studio, then I have speakers, I record the sound as well, and the singing, and we have speakers strategically placed out of camera shot so that I can sing along with it. They're not recording my sound at the time, but I don't mime, don't go, I actually sing along.
Yes,
So you get, if there's no effort, it looks silly. But we can't possibly have an orchestra hidden behind a tree. We've got to record in advance.
Oh, that's great.
There you are, Joan. A bit of TV trickery. Now you know.
Now you know.
Thank you very much. Here's a question from Adam Walker, who's phoned in from Brighton. And he wants to know, talking about singing, why did you decide on a singing career after such a successful career with the Goons?
Well, I've always sang. I mean, I sang from the time I was a choir boy until my voice broke and took the stained glass window and the vicar's wife with it. But I studied as an operatic tenor for 12 years with an old maestro. And singing, it used to be, if I did the Palladium show, I'd do sketches all the way through, and at the end I'd do a singing spot. But they're never together. And then it wasn't until I did musicals like Pickwick and Oliver and all the rest of it, that where the music comes naturally out of the context of the play, then I felt easy. And I used to be very embarrassed when I sang in the beginning. I used to feel, I think the lyrics of some of the popular songs used to embarrass me, and I was tempted to go in the middle. It
was always very useful to have two strings to your bow.
Indeed, two raspberries to your bow, yes.
Absolutely, those as well. Let's speak to Edward Anderson. Hope no raspberries from you, Edward.
Hello.
Hi, Edward.
Hello. So Harry, I think the Goons are great, and the tragedy when Sellers died. I know Milligan wrote the scripts, but who thought up the characters and the voices?
Well, the voices came from all sorts of sources. Peter, how old are you, by the way?
I'm 13.
Oh, good luck. A Goon fan.
Yes.
Oh,
great.
get him young, I say.
Amazing, isn't
It's
it?
great.
Yeah.
Anyway, Peter Sellers used to take his voices from people he met in the street. I mean, there was one character he had from a second-hand car dealer. It was very, I've seen it, oh yes, that kind of voice. And they all sort of, the characters evolved out of chat. We used to be mucking about between ourselves down at the Grafton's pub, for example, where the Goon show began. And the voices came from all sorts of places. Unfortunately, because of the timbre of my voice always sounded like me anyway, I was stuck with the one character, Harry Secombe. But Peter Sellers did all the others. I mean, apart from Spike, who did Eccles, Having a Good Time, and Minnie Bannister. So Peter was the boy who had all the voices, and I'd stand next to him on the microphone, and as you can see on that first clip, he shrank for Blue Bottle, and he blew himself up for Bloodknock, and he actually became the character, temporarily. Marvellous character he was to work with.
Who introduced you to the Goons, Edward?
Well, my dad. He
Yeah?
is
Two Goons in that
time,
house.
I think that's great.
Yeah. Listen, thanks very much indeed for your call. Thank you very
Keep
much for calling in. Oh, here's some important stuff I want to get out of the way here. Isabel Pavlin from Chelmsford This is very, very important. Were you in Spain 3 weeks ago on the Costa Blanca? She is absolutely sure that she saw him. Would you put this woman out of her misery?
I'm sorry, I wasn't on the Costa Blanca. I was probably in Malvern, I should think. On the highway.
There are two of you going about. Do you know that? There's some man impersonating you there in the Costa Blanca.
You'll be sorry.
Sir Harry, for the moment, thank you very much indeed.
Nice talking to you.
We're going to keep the calls coming in for Sir Harry because he will stay here and we'll be here a little later in the programme. Keep the calls coming in. Here is the number to ring. Get on the phone. Did you meet your wife during your teenage years? Or?
No, I met my wife when I was about 26, when I came out of the army. Out of the frying pan into the fire, that's me.
What about teenage years? Problematic for you?
I think so, like anybody else, you know. Spots and pimples and blind boils and troubled nights. Oh, yes.
Oh, say no more. The same for everyone. Okay, now let's... Or Harry, as you keep telling us to call
I think
you.
honours should be accepted graciously and worn lightly, myself.
You always seem so up all the time. And you know that, because people often say about comedians, I mean, Peter Sellers being a case in point, that off-screen they can often have quite troubled lives and not be the jolly people that we see. But you always seem to be sort of happy. I mean, are you?
Well, I'm doing what I like doing, getting well paid for it, and I've got a very happy home life. So I'm very lucky in that respect. So I've got nothing to be miserable about.
Have you always been like that? I mean, since
I'm afraid
childhood?
So, yes. I think fat people are happy anyway, aren't they?
Make you sick people that smile all day. Let's go to Banbury. Denise Shuttleworth. Good morning, Denise.
Good morning.
Hi, Denise.
Sir Harry.
Good morning, Denise.
Good morning.
Denise?
Yes. I've got two of those too. I'd just like to know what it was like working with Peter Sellers. I absolutely adored him. Not that I don't adore you, but he was marvellous. Did you really share that rapport that seemed to come over when you were working with him?
Definitely. I mean, the three of us were very happy working together. It was a sort of chemistry that happens very rarely, apparently. But I loved him. He's a very, very complex character. He wasn't a simple man, but a lot of fun. You could always make him laugh. Even in his blackest moods, you could get him out of it with a laugh. And he was a great giggler. Very nice man.
Make me laugh, and we think the world of you in our house.
Okay, Denise, thanks very much indeed for your call. We've got another call. Doreen Bagley. Hello. Noreen Bagley from Burntwood. Hello, Noreen.
Hello.
Hi, Noreen. You can speak to Sir Harry.
Hello, Noreen.
Hello, Harry. What I'd like to know, Harry, is have you got a comedy show planned for the future?
Not at the moment. I'm too busy doing Highway. I haven't forgotten comedy, and we introduce as many light moments into Highway as we can, but you can't really blow raspberries in Highway. But one day, I haven't given it up for good, you know.
I love your singing voice, but I just love your humour as well.
Oh, well,
and we miss seeing you. We'd like to see more of you, you know.
Well, there's a lot of me now, isn't there?
And as much as me as well.
Well, Noreen, let's hope there's lots of television producers listening to that, and we'll take the hint there. Thanks very much.
Of course, everything else you want to know about him's in there as well, isn't it?
Right.
It's all
in the book.
I tell you what, I loved reading in the book was how you met your wife, because it was sort of under the influence somewhat, wasn't it?
Yes, I was. I've been out of the army about 2 days, and I've been demobbed. I went to a dance at the Mumbles Pier in Swansea. I met this little, very pretty girl in the Paul Jones, made a date with her for the following night, and couldn't remember what she looked like. I made a date to meet her outside the Plaza Cinema at 6 o'clock. And because I couldn't remember what she looked like, I thought I'd get out there early. And there were some columns outside the plaza, so I got behind a column early, about 10 to 6. I thought, if she turns up, I don't fancy the look of her, I'll go, you see. I waited till 6:15, thought she wasn't coming, got out from behind my pillar, and she stepped out from behind hers. So she'd been doing the same thing as I had.
Actually, these women are still chasing you, it has to be said.
Are they?
Yes, there's a woman who's phoned in from Swansea who's 90 years of age, Mary Rowland. Good morning, Mary. And she says, do you remember Mary Owens the Coal?
Yes, I think she's the widow of Owens the Coal. He used to
He used to deliver your coal,
He
apparently.
did indeed, in sacks, you know.
She said, would you say hello to
Any
me?
sacks we had? Eh? Oh. Hello, Mrs. Owens. Nice to hear from you. I'm waving to you.
Do you still feel very sort of emotional about your Welsh roots?
I think so. If you see a rugby match, you hear the national anthem played, or We'll Keep Her Welcome. It always brings a lump to the throat. We're very clannish, the Welsh, you know.
And you were saying that you had a sort of happy family life now.
Yeah.
And I mean, did you have a very sort of close-knit community, family feel in your early days as well?
Yes, definitely. I was brought up in a council estate where there was no point in trying to keep up with the Joneses, because everybody was called Jones where I lived. And the whole thing was, it was a very jolly place. I mean, there was a lot of trouble around. I brought up in the Depression, lots of... But people are drawn together in times of trouble. Or borrowing from each other, you know, a cup of sugar or a bit of cheese for our Joe's box, something like that. But you learn that to accept other people's troubles and accept people for what they are. Learn to be tolerant about others.
Just a final bit of news. We know about the man who's impersonating you on the Costa Blanca. We now have a bus impersonating you on the Isle of Wight, says Mike Olive from Basingstoke. It's called the Sir Harry Secombe. There's a bus going around called the Sir Harry Secombe.
Good,
on the Isle
lovely.
of Wight.
Did a double-decker.
Absolutely. Sir Harry, thank you very much indeed. Lovely talking to you
Nice
today.
talking to you.